I want you to do like a greenery in the back, like peaceful, because that's what I need. I need like peace.
Oh my God, tranquility. I'm just opening the door for my annoying dog. Hang on.
All great.
Tranquility.
We could put
Oh my God. And then, but then the
green.
pressure builds. Then I'm
But
like,
you can
what
do
represents tranquility?
cheapy fake greenery in the background. No one's gonna know the difference. Just put like
This is so
little
inspiring.
greens, like vines, like really pretty greens. I see that with you. That would pop. You make your eyes pop even more. You look like you're in a prison and somebody brought like a little sad tree in. Like we're interrogating you. Like, where were you last Friday night at exactly midnight when the murder happened?
Welcome to Your Mom, and I'm going to cut right to the chase here because it's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and I know everyone is running around even more than normal. Glad you found us, and I'm hoping that as you are cleaning your house or making your third or fourth trip to the grocery store today, that this is the perfect episode for you to throw on and let us keep you company. Maybe we'll give you a Thanksgiving Day hack or two and relieve some holiday stress. I am Ashley Adamson, and I am super excited, very grateful on this Thanksgiving Day episode because I'm uniting two of my favorite women in the world, Lisa McCaffrey and Chantal Below. Lisa, I just want to start with how many trips have you made to the grocery store today?
Okay, so because I just got back in town late last night, I've made one, but it was like a 2-hour trip and I went to 3 grocery stores.
So you're hosting. You're hosting Thanksgiving.
And so yes, I'm hosting. Yes, about 8 people here Thursday night. We have a 4:00 date for dinner and then a 5:30 game
Niners.
to watch. So
That's
go
a big
Niners.
one.
Let's
Seattle,
go,
baby.
Love it.
Yeah. Chantal, what about you? Are you hosting?
Yeah.
We are. Yeah. My aunt is coming into town, and then a few of my in-laws and our former nanny and her family have come for the past few Thanksgivings. So her and her husband and 2 kids.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a bit of an eclectic mix, and it winds up normally being a pretty good time.
Do you cook everything or do you ask people to bring stuff? Because I've hosted Thanksgiving the last couple of years and I ask everyone to bring pretty much everything.
Yeah. People, I delegate. People are bringing things. I mean, it's a lot of work, right?
You guys are lazy.
We're lazy. We're lazy bees. That is.
You guys are like the millennials. No,
Lisa does it all. My question though, here's my issue with Thanksgiving. And this is like on the sliding scale of holidays, Thanksgiving is right at the top of all of my holidays. Like I
really,
really?
Yeah. Favorite holiday? Really?
I think so. I mean, I love Christmas is so wonderful and special, but I think there's a lot more, just maybe more emotions and the shopping and all the presents and all that stuff like feels a little intense to me. But Thanksgiving is like eating and football. And that's 2 of my favorite things. So yeah, it's right at the top. But what I can't figure out ever is how to make everything warm at the same time. I've never in my life. Timing is
I rely on a microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
and
heat it up before you eat it.
Yeah.
I kind of let that go a little bit. Like, hey, you may have one of 2 of these dishes might be cold, but sorry, I'm not good at that either. But yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that makes me feel better.
One thing will be warm. I can guarantee that. That's it. But hey,
I was just going to say, what makes it your favorite above all?
I mean, I think just that you're together with family. I mean, I know I'm not trying to sound cheesy, but like it feels like a low key day. You don't have to do anything other than eat. Yeah. That's all that is required.
That's because you don't cook.
Well, I mean, yeah, good point. But you just get to be in the kitchen and you can be drinking because you're home and we usually play ultimate frisbee or flag football in the yard with a bunch of the neighbors. The last few years we've done that, which is super fun. But yeah, I don't know. I love Thanksgiving. I think it's one of my favorite ones and it kicks off the holiday season and yeah. Does it not? I'm getting the sense that it's not your guys' favorite holiday. Is that
how many people will you have in your gathering? How many people will be there? Because I know.
Well, I'm going to. Thank goodness. I want to give a shout out to Chris's cousin Christine because we were going to host again this year, and Chris's cousin, invited us all to her house. So she's hosting like 20 people or more.
Wow.
So God bless her heart. But yeah, I mean, we would have probably 10. I'd say 10 or between 10 and 12 is about what we've had the last few years. But what, are you guys not Thanksgiving people? Like, what's the deal?
I cook like crazy. I've always cooked. I have a love-hate with it. I love it. And it makes me, very thankful. But because of football's going on, my kid's your entertainment. So I get missing a kid and then another kid's coaching. So I'm missing 2 kids, actually 3 kids. And another one's getting ready for a game. So I'll have 1 kid. So that I always get like emotional because of that. I get jealous of all the people that have all their kids together and all their families. So that makes me a little bit sad. But I mean, the olden days when I had everybody under the same roof, there was nothing better and I didn't mind it one bit, but now it's just sad. But we have some great friends coming over. I'm super excited about that. But I will only have one kid and that's a little bit sad. So it makes me
I know, like everyone else gets access to your kid, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, great. That's nice play. But
Yeah.
But that's okay. Go.
Yeah, I do love Thanksgiving. I think actually, based on what you said, it's kind of sandwiched in between Halloween and Christmas. Christmas, I feel like the magic can get lost with all the gift giving.
Yeah.
It's suddenly about like consumption of stuff.
Yep.
So I think Thanksgiving sometimes, not always, right? Because sometimes with like the stress of hosting, but sometimes you can just kind of get back to basics of like, okay, actually we're just together and it is about gratitude. And so when it works, I feel like it's super special.
Can I ask you guys like what your favorite Thanksgiving dish is? Like what's the thing that, because people are very particular about Thanksgiving dishes, I have come to find out. So what, Chantal, I'll start with you. Like what's your go-to and what don't you like? Because there's also some weird
so I mean, I would say the stuffing, we are definitely, there's different camps. We are definitely a make stuffing from scratch family. My husband was raised in a boxed stuffing family. Like we don't do that.
Yep.
And and I'm like, the box actually tastes pretty good, but that's just like not how we rolled as kids. So and it's something that like my kids can help make. It's easy but tastes delicious. And what don't I like? I mean, honestly, I'm not that into turkey. I mean, it's kind of dry. Like all the sides are the things that I'm much more into. And the turkey creates major marital strife. It's the thing my husband is responsible for. It's inevitably like 2 hours late. Everyone's annoyed at each other.
I remember Chris tried to make it like he smoked a turkey one year and he was, I didn't understand what went into it really until that year, but he's stringing the legs together and he did not either. It caused a lot of stress.
I learned, I was actually asked Christian this the other day. He does not like turkey either. I'm like, wow, well, I wish I would have known that. Thanks. But yeah, I only like turkey if it's a little bit moist, which it rarely is. But yeah, but it's this same thing, the stuffing. I have a great stuffing recipe that's been passed down from my grandmother to my mom to me. And I remember my mom taught me how to make it and I make it every year. And Ed absolutely loves it. I swear to you, just watching Ed eat it, he like loves it. And he looks so forward to leftovers because then he can really get his fill once everybody leaves. So yeah, definitely the stuffing is awesome. I personally do not, and people are probably going to egg my house for this. I don't like pumpkin pie. I cannot stand pumpkin pie. Sorry. Not a fan. It's not sweet enough. Sorry. Are you mad, Chantal? Are you mad?
I love a pumpkin pie. Yeah. And it's with some whipped cream on the side. I don't even like whipped cream except on Thanksgiving. Delicious.
Yeah. I don't like pie, period.
Yeah,
I'm not really a pie person.
Yeah, me either.
And I like pretty much all desserts, but
same, Ashley. I'm the same.
Yeah. Okay. So pie's out. Did you guys ever have, I feel like there's like the family, like the Jello salad, the nasty Jello salad that I feel like grandmas always come out with. Everyone just stop. If you're making Jello salad, just stop. Nobody.
I had a grandmother that did it and it was our big joke. Like, you didn't take enough on your plate.
That was exactly what it was. My mom asked, she was like, can I bring a Jello salad? I'm like, Mom, no one wants a Jello salad. You can bring Jello if you want. Jello's great.
No, and it had like carrots in it and nuts in it. Oh, gross.
It just is so gross.
I'm sorry, but I don't have a stomach ache. I don't need the jumbo salad.
Do you want to know what else is underrated? And this is Chris, my husband's favorite Thanksgiving dish. And if we don't have it, it's like a major issue. Canned cranberry sauce.
Yeah, a lot of
but the can and just like have it be sliced perfectly.
The shape of it, you can see the ridges.
You can see the ridges. There's something especially on leftover sandwiches.
No, I make my own, but nobody eats it. But I like the idea of making my own.
It looks nice on the table.
You literally
it adds color.
And it looks pretty. But no.
Okay, I got to ask you guys because I've got a couple of these, but your most memorable Thanksgiving or least memorable, depending on how you want to take this.
Coach Chantal, go.
Chantal, go. You first.
Most released. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple come to mind. So one, most of my childhood I spent living abroad. Therefore, Thanksgiving is not celebrated.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Exactly. And so we had a tradition of always celebrating with another American family who had 6 kids, 5 boys and a girl.
Wow.
So it was just like super boisterous and very novel because it was on a Thursday night. I had school the next day. No one else around us was celebrating. And there's something about like, it makes it more special in some ways when you're like
Yeah.
drawing attention to a holiday that no one around you is
What country
celebrating.
were you in? What country?
In England.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah.
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 So a number of memorable Thanksgivings of kind of like keeping up a tradition that was important to us and didn't
Yeah,
matter to
they're
anyone
kind of
else.
responsible for us stuffing our face on
Well,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, right. There is
Thank you,
something to
guys.
that.
Thanks.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the other was in COVID, we were in Joshua Tree for Thanksgiving, and it
Oh,
was like, just me, my husband, my kids. It was like a reason to be like, we are hosting no one. We are all
we're off
quarantining
the
in
grid.
some
Yeah.
form. Exactly. And like, just got like, I think like a rotisserie chicken, maybe. It was
I
like we ate in our
mean, wow.
jammies.
Isn't
Um,
that interesting though, Chantal? Like to think about that because there are things that I look back on from COVID that I'm like, we would never do that now
Never.
because people would be offended and it would feel sad that we weren't with other
It's not the
family or that we weren't making an
tradition.
effort. It's not their tradition, but like it's one of your most memorable Thanksgivings. I
It
feel
was
that.
so low
Yeah.
pressure. It was great.
Perfect.
What
Love
about
Perfect.
for
it.
you?
All right, Lisa, what about you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, I hosted a Thanksgiving. Well, I actually might have been, no, it was a Thanksgiving way back in the day when Ed was on the 49ers. So he was on the 49ers, and I think it was 94. The year they did win a Super Bowl that year. It was a pretty memorable year. He was low man on the totem pole. He backed up Jerry Rice, barely sniffed the field. And we were out there, and people had been so nice to us. They like took us in. We had a brand new baby Max, and they took us in, like invited us to dinners and stuff. So I said, okay, to reciprocate, I'm going to do Thanksgiving this year. Invited a ton of the families over, and it was so fun. I was so excited for it. I cooked the driest turkey in the world ever, and they still talk about it to this day. They're like, we could have like flossed our teeth with the turkey. It was so dry. It was so bad. So I had a horrible reputation for being a terrible cook, which I will admit I was then. I had one kid. I played soccer. I never learned to cook. I like would just, my mom would cook and I'd eat, or anyway. So, but fast forward to Ed's now on the Broncos. I remember where we are. That's why he was on the Broncos. We had two kids. We had Max and Christian. They were little. And once again, I'm like, okay, I'm going to redeem myself. This is going to be a really good Thanksgiving. We lived out in Parker, Colorado. Ashley, you probably know where that is. And
Mhm.
I am not, I mean, I am going to brag because I deserve it. I cooked the most phenomenal Thanksgiving meal ever. It was literally like, what's the, like Martha Stewart. It was amazing. And we invited our neighbors over, the Lemieux, Claude Lemieux. He was a hockey player at the time on the
Yeah.
Avalanche. His whole family, and his wife is tall, beautiful blonde, and they have like the perfect children. And the meal was spectacular. The turkey was moist, everything. And so I cooked it. Then they left, and I put like my two baby angels to bed, and I'm literally in the bathtub, like just resting on my laurels, feeling like I deserve this bath. Ed had cleaned up, and I had gone down and closed the oven and put like the cleaner in, and like did the cleaning the oven thing, however you click the
Yeah.
thing. And I'm up there in the bath, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey Ed, can you go check the kitchen, and like it smells a little smoky. And he's like, oh yeah, I think it's fine. We delayed. I'm like, it's kind of getting worse. We go downstairs, and the oven is completely on fire. Smoke is billowing out. Ed's trying to like freaking out, and he starts screaming. I run down. There's sparks coming out of the oven. Huge fire. I run up in my robe, my hair in a towel, grab both kids, put them in the car, call the fire department. We're like, look, it's just the oven. Don't go crazy. They send 5 of the biggest fire trucks you've ever seen, came up with the alarm on, everything. It was the loudest thing ever. 5 trucks. They all of a sudden like came in their full suits, head to toe, come trouncing in and hit. Oh, and there was a blizzard going on outside too, on top of it all. There's a huge blizzard. They come in, their boots are all muddied. They come and trounce on our white rug, sled mark. They grabbed it. They had a crowbar. They took the oven. They pulled it out, threw it in the backyard. It's smoking, and then they left. And it was in the newspaper the next day, this big article about how we had a fire on Thanksgiving because of me. So anyway, that was my most memorable Thanksgiving. And I'm outside of my robe with my like rocking Christian, trying to put him to sleep in his car seat, thinking we're gonna have to go to a hotel. So yeah.
I have not heard that story. That is an
5
incredible
alarm
story.
fire. Yep, 5 alarm fire.
Wow. So why did it start on fire? Was
Because so
there
when we did the cleaning of the oven, there was so much drippings on the
Yeah.
bottom. But they said don't clean it out, so I didn't clean it out. Anyway, the drippings caught fire, and the oven had closed. So we couldn't open it to like, I don't know why it locked. I guess it was in the cleaning mode and it didn't lock. So they literally pulled it out of the wall, threw it in the
my
backyard. We had an oven in our backyard. We looked like the Clampets of the neighborhood, and it was smoking. It was awful. Yeah. Anyway, that was our
I mean, There are so many follow-ups I have for that, but one is they
Not
can't
my
take
finest moment.
that perfect Thanksgiving dinner away from you, no matter what. The
Well,
Lemieux were gone by then, I
they
imagine.
were gone. But they
Okay.
lived across
Oh.
the street, so don't
Oh, so
worry.
they knew, they
They
saw.
knew. They're
They
like,
were
"What?"
aware of the activity.
Yeah. Everybody in the neighborhood, if they had gone to bed, they woke up, they were like, "What's going on?" Yeah, it was
Oh
not my
god.
finest moment ever,
You
but
know, hey,
we'll take it.
that's okay though. That's okay. I also, in the spirit of not being with loved ones on Thanksgiving or on holidays, I was chatting with a firefighter the other day, doing an interview with him, and they talk about, and you don't think about this, but of course they don't get the day off. Like there's a lot of people
Thank
who,
God
of
for my
course, have to
house.
work.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, because there are people like Lisa who they need to save from themselves.
I was so apologetic. I was like giving them food on the way out, and they're like, "No, we got it. We're good. You're
We're all
obviously
set,
fine."
lady. Thanks. Wow. Well, I'm glad that I was only laughing during that story because I knew that it all ended
Yeah, oh,
okay.
no, it's funny. We laugh about it to this day. It's like, yeah, my one.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I
What
have,
was yours?
so my most memorable one is, first of all, if you've never been to the Macy's Day Parade, I say just put it on your bucket list. I went with my mom when we went
Okay.
to visit my brother one year when he was living in New York, and it was an all-time Thanksgiving. I'd say definitely put that on your list. But my most memorable one was 2014. I'm with Chris's family, and we're not married yet. We're engaged. We're getting married later in that spring. And we are playing a game that included charades. And at one point, and I won't go into the backstory because it's not important of why I did this, but I jumped up on an ottoman to really get my point across of what I was trying to
Animated?
get everyone to guess. Yeah, to be
What was
animated.
your movie?
The JFK was the clue. So again,
makes
that's
sense.
for a
What
story
were
for another time. Anyone who knows about New Girl might be able to put it together. But anyway, I jump up on this ottoman and to signify JFK, and the ottoman had wheels on it.
Oh,
So
no.
the ottoman flies out. I go up and over and land squarely on this wrist, which
No.
Oh,
you may be
ouch.
able to see now
Yep.
has I've got 2 plates or a plate and 8 screws in this wrist. So I completely, but I mean, and it is almost like a compound fracture. Like I look down, and I've never really broken a bone other than my nose and fingers. So I'm
Oh,
looking down and I'm like, oh God. And my
you
sister-in-law,
knew it was broken right away, right?
oh yeah. And my father-in-law, who's just the dearest person on the planet, but comes over and is like pushing on it to see, like, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's broken. My sister-in-law was brilliant. She came over and immediately took off my engagement ring because my fingers are getting like
Swelling.
this big. So we go to the, local hospital, which, isn't like greatly staffed on a Thanksgiving night. And anyways, long story short, like any of my, airs about trying to be this were all gone. Like at one point I was in so much pain, like the most pain I've probably ever been in because I had not delivered a child up to that point. And this woman comes by and she's like, okay, we need to get you some pain medication. And there's not an anesthesiologist here. So basically like drop your pants. Which cheek do you want? And my mother-in-law is standing right there, my future mother-in-law. And I'm like, well, there's no secrets anymore, Pam. Like, here we go. So it
She's
was
probably
very
like
humbling.
Chris, she has a good ass.
Yeah. Yeah. She still let me marry her son, 6 months
good.
later, but
She
it
was
was, oh my God, that was quite a Thanksgiving. And then I was supposed to work that next day, but obviously was out for
Oh,
quite a
no.
bit. So my worst injury, and I played sports growing up most of my whole life, but my very worst injury was playing charades on the night of Thanksgiving.
Was it healed for the wedding?
Yes, it was. It was because it was
Okay.
6 months later.
Okay.
But it was, yeah, they're still not totally, I mean, I still can't do things great with my left
Okay,
wrist.
can we go back to why on God's green earth were you jumping on an ottoman for JFK? Like,
Mm.
if you're doing a Tom Cruise movie, maybe jumping
Mhm.
on jumping on a sofa, like the Oprah interview, I would like guess any, Top Gun, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
But
good
you're jumping
callback,
on
the
an
Oprah
ottoman.
interview.
I don't get JFK reference.
So
What?
there's a show called New Girl in
Yeah,
which they
I know New
play
Girl,
a game called American President or Presidents, and they basically jump up on furniture and yell out like JFK. And Chris
knew it.
used to
Okay.
always play it with his friends,
It's
and
like
it's like this silly, stupid game. And so again, you don't really know that. I don't think there are even rules. It's like you just jump up on a piece of furniture and yell out a president's name was basically the gist of it for me. But I thought for sure Chris would know that it was JFK.
And did he?
But he
Did he
didn't
get
get it
it?
right because I was, in a crumpled puddle on the
Incapacitated.
floor. Yeah. So that was my
Right.
most memorable
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, I would say.
definitely.
But it's when you're like that vulnerable, like the most injured you've ever been, and you're like, I felt like it brought me closer to my now current in-laws.
Who you
But
love,
boy,
yeah. So, yeah,
yep,
good.
who I love. So that was, yeah, that I would say that was probably my
That's
most
pretty memorable, yeah, yeah.
memorable. And that's the thing, like, I feel like, and I don't know, Chantal, if you see this in the work you do at all, but I feel like because people are stressed and there's other stuff going on, I feel like the holidays are a time where like just more accidents happen. People are home more. People
They're
are,
drinking
I don't
more.
know. People are drinking more. Yes, for sure. And I just think that I don't know, there's like a stress that comes, and also you're doing things that you wouldn't normally be doing, like
Correct.
playing
Yeah, I
charades
think
after
there's
30
that.
glasses
Even
of wine.
Lisa, it reminds me of what you said of there's like joy and tradition and ritual, and all your boys aren't home. And I think it does oftentimes bring up like grief or loss or disappointment in addition to fun celebration, all the things.
And
So
you're
yeah, me too.
trying to be so appreciative and happy, and you're almost like
Yeah.
sometimes you're like it's like tears of a clown. You're like faking it a little bit because you're like, "Oh, but I'm still sad half the people aren't here, but I'm happy my one son's here."
Yeah.
At least I
Yeah.
have that, you're like it's such a messing
Yeah.
just messing with your
Right.
emotions,
But
so
yeah, I love that. And it's like sometimes we're like playing a part, like Ashley, you're
yeah.
like must impress future
Yes,
in-laws.
Right,
And then we
right.
kind of get
totally.
in our own way sometimes because it's like, oh God, let's take the pressure off and just
Be
be real with each other.
yeah.
Okay, so how do you do that? Like what is both of you, like what's the key to getting taking the pressure off? Because I feel like every year I'm like, I'm not going to stress out about this. Perfect example. Collins's birthday was a few days ago,
Yeah.
and Chris just totally called me out on it because the morning of his birthday party we were having, it was like his two cousins and one friend at this putt-putt golf. And he was just like, "Why are you so stressed?" And every time on one of their birthdays, I just like, and I know that I'm doing it, and I don't know what it is, but like, is there something that you can do to take the pressure off other than drink wine? Because that's what
Lisa,
I
can
typically
you
do.
provide us with the answer?
I am not I'm not a pro. I'm not a life coach, but I do get it. I understand why you feel that way. You want him to remember a birthday. You want it to be special for him and not
Yeah.
forget it. And it's also to me, I remember looking back, it's also a milestone, and then it makes you think, okay, this is another age. I'm not going to have those years back now, and he's getting older,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like those are subconscious things that I realized later on that was happening in my head. Like, oh yeah, it is because it was always so emotional for me when they would have a birthday, and then I always think, oh, did I do enough this year? Did I give them enough attention? I have three others. It's always,
Yeah.
you just worry about them. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't have a remedy for it, but I understand the feeling completely.
Yeah. And I'll just even add to that, like understanding of the feeling. I mean, I was raised with a mom who, was kind of a Martha Stewart equivalent and took so much pride in, at the table setting, the presentation of food, the quality of food. And I feel like I'm a very like C plus B minus in that regard. I'm like, oh, it's like sort of last minute, like, oh shit, am I supposed to have like candles for the table or
Yeah,
like some sort of flower arrangement? Like, is this what
Yeah.
people do? Like, I still feel like I'm like catching up to being a grown up in some of these
Uh-huh.
ways. And so, there's also this like
I'm here. Yeah.
baggage slash gift of having like your family traditions and orientations. And like, am I doing right by my mom? And aren't I supposed to be presenting in a way? And I will say this one Thanksgiving when, during COVID, it was like just that pressure release of,
Yeah.
okay, actually it fundamentally it's about being together. And fundamentally it's about how do we access gratitude and pause to really reflect on it and appreciate it. But it is hard when the forces are pulling you strongly towards like, this is so important or this
Right.
matters so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know, laughter and levity feel like a good
Yeah.
antidote.
Yeah, I feel that so deeply, Chantal. My mom, and I've said this before, one of the things that I'm really grateful to her for, but also it comes with exactly what you just described, is that she does make every holiday feel really special because she has the exact right dishes and the perfect tablecloth and the napkins
Serving
and the
platter. Yeah.
candles and the platters. And do you have the right, she's texting me all the time. Do you have this gravy spoon? Do you have this, like all of these things? And I always say, oh yeah, I'm sure I have that. I think I've got it. I think you gave it to me last year. And then she shows up for Thanksgiving and I definitely don't, or can't
Yeah.
find it or whatever. So there is that feeling, but I also really appreciate and love those little touches ultimately that do make a difference, but it stresses me out. I think it does. There's on some level, it is this like pressure to be like, oh, I want it to look really good. Now, I got to see Lisa's table when I was there a couple of weeks ago. Did you stick with the beige?
I have my table set. Just let me preempt this.
Lisa's table
Because
is
I'm having
beautiful.
guests over, I'm having people over, so I feel pressured. Like, I want it to look nice.
Good experience.
Exactly for them. When it was just the kids and Ed, I didn't feel that tight. I mean, I felt like I needed a good meal. We'll get it done. And I felt pressure in some ways, but not like everything. Cause I have boys. Do you know how many fucks they give?
Yeah.
About if I have the right fork and the right this, like, no. And I knew that about them. So I never felt that pressure for. That's why I think now I love setting like a pretty table because it's important to me. And I know that's
pent up energy around it, right?
Like, I like it. And Ashley, this is the one year it is actually like nice and pretty.
It was beautiful.
No,
like it was like
I thought about it ahead of time, and I'm like, oh, I need extra candles. So I went out and bought it. Before that, though, it was a very simple, like, we had plates and stuff, not paper plates. It wasn't the legs, like walking around. It wasn't like old times.
You didn't have turkey legs, just people like,
there were. It was like nice enough, but I never felt that. But now, and my mom was pretty laxed about that stuff. She would set a good table and do it nice, but she wasn't neurotic about that. And she usually comes over for Thanksgiving, and she's not like, she doesn't, I don't feel that pressure from my mom. I will say that. That's one thing about it. So there's other things I feel pressure for. Lots of other things, but just not the table setting.
Well, and isn't that so true? There's so many things that we bring our parents would never want us to feel that pressure of.
Right. Your mom probably
anything.
doesn't feel bad. Now she's going to listen to this and feel bad that you feel
no. Well, I mean, she also was the same mom that growing up would be like, your mother-in-law, your future mother-in-law is going to think you were raised in a barn if you don't know how to fold these towels.
And I think the distinguishing feature is my mom got a lot of pride and joy in doing it. Similar to you, Lisa. You're like, there's like this creative outlet.
Yes.
And for me, it's not like I can
tell because of your background. Like
100%. Exactly.
There's no joy.
But I don't notice.
It's a fake plant. Right? Yeah.
I don't notice these things. And so then it does feel like, oh my God, I'm an embarrassment to the family.
But the difference is you're probably focused on the things you should focus on. I'm focused on what color. Let's have all the color theme and let's match. So
those things can matter too.
It's all a balance. Life's a balance, huh?
It is. It is true. And doing it, as long as you're doing it for you, I think ultimately maybe that's my bottom line takeaway. Like if you are doing things that bring you joy and that bring the ones that you love joy, then that's it's all love language on some level or not.
I will. And then I get mad. I got mad at Ed because I was like, why don't you care like I do? Like, help me with this and this. And then he fakes it. And I can tell. He's like, oh, where should we put the napkins? Like, how should I fold them? And like, he's faking it. And I know it's just so fake. He likes the result if it's done. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks nice. But he's not thinking. And if I didn't do it, he wouldn't care. He's not
sure.
Make a good table. I want a good meal. No, not at all like that. Like
as long as the oven's not being pulled out by firefighters on Thursday night, then
set the oven on fire.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, we have been doing like little moments of gratitude at the end of our episodes. And obviously this is kind of maybe a longer extended version of that because it's a Thanksgiving episode, but would love to hear what you guys are grateful for, a person, a thing, a whatever. Chantal, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Can I do a couple?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So one, certainly, in light of my mom, she's actually just been having a number of health issues and challenges. And, we can do a separate episode on the fragility of health and well-being and aging. But I mean, she's like a remarkably resilient human. How old is she? She's 78.
Okay.
So, but she's currently in a rehab facility, recovering from some challenges. But the gratitude that I feel is that people are freaking working on Thanksgiving, similar to the firefighters that you mentioned, Lisa, and healthcare providers, and the fact that, she is getting the care that she needs and they are showing up with lots of joy and lots of compassion. And so, many people don't get the opportunity to be with families because they're taking care of other people's family members. So, so I feel lots of gratitude for folks who make those sacrifices. And the other thing I'm noticing I feel gratitude for, so that same Thanksgiving when we were in our jammies eating like rotisserie chicken, we told our kids that we were going to get a dog. And so, I mean, my kids have never actually been so grateful in their lives, right? Because they're like, we're getting a dog.
It's the greatest thing.
And so my dog both drives me crazy, and I adore her. But the thing that I'm like so grateful for is what she brings out in my kids. You know, they just feel like so much love, so much joy, so much appreciation for her. And I don't know your experience. I don't always sense that from my children, that they feel just genuine gratitude and appreciation for a member of their family. So, you know, it's these kind of opportunities to like see the best in your kids, and my dog totally brings that out in them. But let's be clear, I walk her the most and take care of her the most.
Right. Yeah, of course. Is she in the room? Can we get an appearance?
What kind? No,
she's not.
She's
but
not.
If she comes in, I'll put her on.
Throw her up. She's adorable. I got to meet her once, and I will say you also wrote what is now my kid's favorite book. I love that darn dog. Chantal wrote. I'll link to it because it's literally like the best. Yeah, you guys. You wrote it last year. Was it last year?
Yeah. It was around this time last year, so it was fun. I wrote it with my kids, and
I want it. I actually want to give that to my mom for Christmas.
Yeah, I'll send you.
She loves dogs. She loves her dog.
Awesome.
It's so sweet. It's so good, and there's like a pooping page in it. I don't want to like give too much away, but dog poop is in the book, which
don't give that away because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen with the dog poop. You never know.
Well, and it's a complex plot. So
it's hard to follow a little bit, but
I hope there's pictures because if I give it to my kids too.
Mainly illustrations.
It's a great book. It's so good. Oh my God. It makes me laugh and smile every time I get to read it. Okay. What's your mom's name, Chantal?
Susan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Susan is in our thoughts for sure. And everyone taking care of Susan. Thank you. Because you're right. I think there's so much that you can get caught up with in your own little world of whatever your Thanksgiving looks like that you, holidays can be a really intense time for a lot of people. And certainly those who are willing and choosing to be away from their own families so that they can take care of other people is there's a special place in heaven for those people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Lisa, how about you? What are you grateful for?
Oh gosh. Man, a lot, but this year I'm going to say health. I am so thankful for health on so many levels. We had a couple years ago, a good friend of ours passed away around this time, and it's just awful. And then literally I just got a text before we started, one of my good friends' dad just died literally today. Super sad. And then another friend, really close friend, is dying and has like 1 to 5 weeks. So all of a sudden today I was hit with all these horrible things. So I'm just thankful for health. You know, they say, what is it? A dying man's wish. He only has one wish, you know, whereas most people are like, oh, I want this and that, but dying. So anyway, I'm just grateful right now for health and pray to God that we, like everybody in our family and you guys and everybody listening, stays healthy. That's just my number one gratitude, but also, this time of year gets hard and can be very hard for people. So keep that in mind and check on everybody, check on each other and make sure it goes a long way and it helps, and actually call, not just a text too. That's my 2 cents. So.
Well, I love that, Lisa, and +1 on all of that. I think that was something that still one of the interviews that we did that resonates most with me was, Martha Thomas. And she talked about how people just call and they won't answer if they can't or don't want to, but it's a phone call it makes all the world. And even if you don't know what to say, just say that, but just check in on people because they want to and need to hear from you. And again, the holidays can be a really hard time for a lot of people. On that note, I just want to mention, and I didn't think this was going to be the theme, but it certainly is. Betsy, our wonderful producer who was supposed to be on this episode and is not, she is not here because her father-in-law passed away somewhat unexpectedly this morning. So obviously, again, my heart is with them. Her husband, Mac, is a very good friend of ours. He was the best man in our wedding, as I think we've told the story on here, but my husband, Chris, knew him since he was in, I think, 6th grade or 7th grade. So it's devastating. And to your point, Chantal, like life is really fragile. And so just a reminder to tell people not only that you love them, but why you love them as often as you can. Don't save anything because you don't know when you're going to get to say it. So, I just want to say my heart is with Mac and Andrew and Katie and Susan. I love you guys so much. And again, there aren't really the right words. Like you never know exactly what to say, but just making sure people understand that you are thinking of them and that you love them and you're there for them is huge. Mm-hmm. And Thanksgiving will be different this year, obviously for them this year and every year here on out, as it will for many families who go through loss at any point in the year. So my hope is that everyone who is with loved ones relishes every single moment of this Thanksgiving. And for those of you who are missing somebody this holiday, we love you and we're with you. And we hope that their memory is a blessing and you can have some laughs and levity and remembering some of the great memories, because that's what keeps them alive.
Yeah.
So, boy, I don't even know where to go from there. I know we are out of time and we should probably wrap this thing up, but I'm also just really grateful for you two. And I've said it before, but just to be able to have this space to think about some of this stuff and talk about it is one of the biggest gifts of my life. And, I couldn't do it. It certainly wouldn't be the same if I was doing this just talking to myself. So I really appreciate that you guys are willing to make time in your crazy busy schedules to do this with me. It means a lot.
Thanks.
Are we going to get your recipes? Can I get your Lisa, can we get your stuffing recipe?
Yeah, you sure? Maybe.
I know it's a family
I hate people that don't give out recipes. Of course, if you really want it, but just warning, Whole Foods is kind of like the Hunger Games right now.
Yeah.
Like suburban Hunger Games. It's like, oh my gosh, I went to 3 grocery stores and that was like insane. Like people are grabbing things like the last cranberry. So be safe out there too, guys. Be careful.
Okay. Seriously. Yeah. Be careful. Chantal, is there a recipe that you want to share that you can?
Your stuffing. Let's put both our stuffing.
Yeah. Let's put both dueling stuffing. Are you a meat or vegetarian stuffer?
No, it's definitely me. I mean, this is not a healthy meal that I cook. And, I mostly try to buy it. It's definitely, there's sausage. There's just white bread.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. So I'm happy to share mine too.
What's going to be amazing is that it's going to, all of a sudden you guys are going to find out you're related because it's going to be the same family recipe. And it's going to be, and then there's going to be some show that we're going to feel this.
It's not 23andMe. It's
it's stuffing recipe. This is my family's recipe.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute.
Oh, I love you both so much. And Lisa, I think you should share a picture of your table just because it is worth.
People are on the edge of their seat.
Edge of their seat. I'm on the edge of my seat. I know, I can see it in Chantal's eyes.
Oh, 100. I need inspiration. I need a guide.
You know what you should do? Actually, this is my last great idea. Lisa, you should take a picture and then get it blown up into a poster size. And that's what Chantal should hang behind her as her background is your Thanksgiving table.
Amazing.
A table setting.
Another thing we do, because 3 of the boys aren't here, we'll get almost like a little mini fat head and we'll put their picture at where they would be sitting. We've done that several times.
That's adorable.
We usually get a terrible picture, like their high school photo that, when you take senior pictures.
Yeah.
We had whoever did it, they mock it up, they edit it, and they look like, it's so bizarre. It doesn't even look like them. And they all are mortified by these pictures. One day I use that as bribery. If you don't be nice to me, I'm
posting this
picture of you. So
I would love to see those photos.
They're so bad that they're good. It's awesome.
Will Christian get to eat a Thanksgiving meal? What happens to NFL players that play on Thanksgiving?
He will not eat it before the game. I can guarantee that. He's got his regimen down. Yeah. So, how cool would it be if he got a turkey leg? Isn't that a thing on the NFL? If you do have a good game, you get a turkey leg.
Well, I'm wishing Christian all the turkey legs on Thursday night.
I'm not real worried about him getting food. He'll be fine. Someone will provide a meal for him.
You're not going to send it. All right. Okay. Fair enough.
No donations there. He's got it.
Okay. I love you both. I'm grateful for you. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving wherever you are and whoever you're with, and check on your people and tell them you love them. And we'll be back next week with something else. I don't know what yet, but it'll be something good.
Something good.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Love you guys.